So I'm going to use the Forever Fern bundle, and if you're on Pinterest or social media at all, you would have seen a lot of projects already using this stamp set. It's one of those beautiful ones that they call distinctive stamping, where there is incredible detail in just the stamp itself. All you have to do is ink it up and stamp, and you get this beautiful image, which I'll show you here just shortly. So this is definitely going to be a favorite. So this is the finished one, so you can see where we're going. I like to kind of show you what we're doing so you can see how it's all coming together. It's a simple card, but I think it's quite beautiful, and you can do it in any colors that you like. I wanted to go for the neutrals here. So I'll set that there, and I'll show you how we're going to do this little background piece. So I have shimmer white paper, and just to go over that, I'm using shimmer white because Whisper White will not accept the water that we're going to use very well, and the colors won't spread. So you could use shimmer white, or you could use proper actual watercolor paper. However, if you're using watercolor paper, you'll need to use a lot more water than what I'm going to use for this one. But it's just a matter of getting a few like scrap pieces and experimenting. And I tell you what, as I learned with the bumblebee cards I did last week, even the things that you think look terrible and are a mistake, by the time you put it all together, they actually can look quite amazing. So what we're going to use for this is a clear block, and I'm using the H block. This is the block that I use the most, actually, out of all of those. And we're going to use 3 colors, and I decided espresso, early espresso, oh, they're not even on camera, was probably a little bit dark. So I'm going to use Sahara Sand, Crumb Cake, and Soft Suede. So I'm going to, open up the ink pad, and I'm actually just going to tap some ink, the Sahara Sand, onto the block like that. It doesn't have to be totally covered, so don't worry. And then just tap a little bit of Crumb Cake. You can kind of mix them a little bit. And again, don't worry about any gaps. And then just a little bit of this Soft Suede, maybe just a little bit there on the end like that. And then we're going to take our spritzer with just water in it, and I might just move that sample and just spritz it. And I don't want to get that wet either. So you want to get it so it's like puddling like that. And then we're going to take our shimmer white paper, and I'm using the stamp mat underneath me just so that I get a little bit of cushion, and then just press it down. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. So you want it to blend like that, so you don't have any dry patches, so it looks quite marbled, and then just pull it off. You might get some little splatters, but that's okay. And then as it dries, these colors are going to kind of blend together, and you can sort of let them run. And like I said, they're all going to come out differently, and some of them might have little missing patches and whatever, and it's going to look totally great anyway. So I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. So here's one that I did earlier this morning that's totally dry. And then what we're going to do is stamp our leaves on there. So we're just going to use the 2 little leaves, and this time I'm going to use early espresso ink. So I'm going to stamp, you see how beautiful those are. And you've got 2 leaves in this stamp set, one going one way and one going the other way. And something like that. So beautiful. And then the font on this in this stamp set is also just really lovely. So you can do this. Again, just thinking about my daughter. That was what the sigh was about. Doing hard things. These girls are doing hard things, but part of growing up. Actually, it's part of just being a human. And then I'm going to grab, now these little stamps in the stamp sets, various stamp sets, have like these little splatter type images, and they are actually just really fantastic for just filling in. So I'm going to grab a slightly lighter ink. This is the Soft Suede again, and just do a few little splatter stamps. I might just stamp them off even. There, happy with that. Okay, when you pause is the time to stop stamping, I've learned. over the years and hard experience. So then I would normally use the subtle embossing folder and just do it this direction and then do it this direction, and you get this really cool crosshatch look. But just for something different today, I'm going to use this new Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. This one is quickly going to become a favorite. I do like that this subtle one though is a 6x6, whereas this one is quite a bit smaller. But it works fine for this particular project. So I'm just going to put that through the embossing machine. Okay, then when we pull that out, I don't know how well it's going to show on a video, but you've got this, actually it shows pretty well. You've got this really awesome texture on there that looks like almost like watercolor paper or something. Anyway, I really like it. So then the next thing is we're going to mat this onto a piece of early espresso, like so. Now I haven't done any like roughing up or inking around the edges or anything, which I probably normally would be tempted to do that, but I wanted to keep this card fairly clean, what I like to call clean vintage. So it's got some vintage elements, but it's not too grungy. Grungy is probably not the nicest word, but you know what I mean. So now with this, oh, I should show you this ribbon. Actually, this is awesome. And it's a bundle where you get both this gold twine and this ribbon, which I love this ribbon. I'm going to call it the bandage ribbon, but it's so nice. It's just the right color for this. So what I'm going to do here is tie it into a reef knot and then tie it again in a knot and pull up the knot from the bottom. So you get this a loop with a little knot on the top, and then just trim that. And then we're just going to place that wherever we want it. You know, maybe it's just me, but I usually have like 3 or 4 rolls of tape going at once because I am always losing track of it. It's sort of like scissors. I think I have 4 pairs of scissors out as well. Okay, we're just going to tape that around the back. And then you can go ahead and trim these ends of the ribbon, or you can kind of, I'm just going to make them a little shorter, but I think I am going to just fray them a little bit. I quite like that look. Okay, and you could just leave it clean if you prefer. Now then, the gold twine, I'm going to cut off a fairly generous piece of that because this is metallic, so if any of you like sewn with metallic thread or anything, it frays and unravels quite a bit. It's just the nature of it. But actually, in a way, it's a good thing because then you could pull out individual strands and use it for different things as well. And then I'm just gonna, but when I'm gonna tie a bow, I'm just cutting off a generous piece so that I can cut off any frayed bits or don't have to try and tie with frayed bits, if that makes sense. But I can see that I'll be using a lot of this particular twine and ribbon. Okay, I was like really, really generous with that, but that's okay. And like so. So something like that. And then our card base, I also, oh, I got a big bite out of that one. I also used the shimmery white for the card base, just so it would match the front. You could use, say, like crumb cake or one of the coordinating browns if you would prefer. And then we'll put that on with dimensionals. The neutrals are great to have. So I would suggest having all the paper and all the ink pads, of course. Okay. I should have probably put that on this one so you could see it better. That's better. Why didn't I do that before? And then I'm going to pull in the gilded gold gems. These are actually part of the ornate garden bundle, but it doesn't matter. They're just gold gems, so you can use them with anything. Goodness, I've made a mess. So we're just going to place those. I did those about here and here. And maybe one about there. Actually, it should be there. All these fine details. And then on the inside, I like to do another layer. You could just stamp directly on there, but I kind of like, well, I don't kind of, I do like a card that has a bit of weight to it, like actual weight. And if you've got a card front that's got 3 layers on them and then just a single layer on the back, sometimes it doesn't really sit well. It's just nice to have the front and the inside kind of about the same weight for the most part. I mean, sometimes obviously if you have a really detailed front, that won't be the case. And then I think I'll just stamp a few more of these leaves on here. I might have made this more complicated than, oops, than it needs to be. And then you can stamp these same leaves on the envelope, something like that. Well, I got a little spot missing there, but you know what? I'm going to just put some words there, and it won't matter. Okay. I'm getting myself all confused, as you can see. Which is why I end up with ink all over myself. So if we put that hello there, it will detract from the fact that I missed a little tiny bit of the leaves, and that's all good. All right, so I hope you can give that one a try, and the Forever Fern is, all of these things are available for ordering now, of course, or add it to your list. Bye-bye.